Hi, it's Laura at Marine18. Thanks for stopping by my channel today. Welcome or welcome back. This is a book related video, and specifically I wanted to share the way that I am keeping track of forthcoming new releases that I would like to read. I don't necessarily read predominantly new releases. Maybe 10 or 15% of what I've read this year in 2022 was actually released in 2022. I was mostly reading older books, but I do like keeping track of what's coming out. Certainly, I'm always, looking forward to sequels or to the next book in a series that I enjoy. I also read advanced reader copies when I get them on NetGalley. So having a sense of what is going to be coming out ahead of time helps me to request on there the books that I am most interested in. And this is also just an opportunity for me to ramble about some of the books coming up in 2023 that I am particularly excited for and looking forward to. There are quite a lot of them. But I thought that I would give a little kind of look behind the scenes at how I keep track of some of this using a program called Notion. Shout out to my friend Avery Fawcett, who helped me with Notion. I'm going to share my new release page in Notion. And so this is a program that I'm using in a browser, and it can do a whole lot of different things. I am using Notion in a very beginner basic way. Most of what I do on Notion looks like a slightly fancier than Excel spreadsheet kind of thing, but there's lots of different displays and functions that it can perform. But this is a page that I've made where I keep track of new release books that I'm interested in reading. And so I'll just give a quick kind of overview of what this does and what I've got here, and talk about some of the books that I'm looking forward to. So I've got it organized here by year, and each year has its own kind of spreadsheet section. So these couple of books at the top, you can see say no release date. These are books that the titles have been announced, but not much else. They don't have a date yet, or at least they didn't the last I checked. This is the next book, The Martian Contingency in Mary Robinette Kowal's Lady Astronaut of Mars series. And System Collapse by Martha Wells is the next Murderbot book. And I've read both of these series up to date now. So these are definitely books that I'm looking forward to, but I don't know much about them yet, beyond their title. And The Martian Contingency does have a description already, but that's about it. So I've got them tagged. You can see I try to tag the different books based on genre, based on the kind of length, I guess, whether it's novel, novella, short stories, etc. And I also have a tag for sequel so that I can see which books are sequels. And I can check them off when I've read them here. If I check the box for read, then I've got this set up such that that means that the title disappears. I can always show it again, and I can view all of the ones that I've read as well. But right now I've got it set up so that if I read a book, I check it off and it disappears, because this is the to be read list. I've also got a column here, ARC, where I can check off if I've received an advanced reader copy of the book. So that's the no release date books. Going down, I've got a couple of books here listed as January 1st, 2024. These don't have release dates either, but they do say that they're estimated to be released in 2024. Very little information about these as well, except that The Practice, the Horizon, and the Chain, I just thought the description sounded cool. And Zoraida Cordova is an author that I read for the first time this year and enjoyed, and saw was coming out with another book. So I put those there, with their genres again, one a novella and one a novel, right? And the release dates again for these are kind of tentative, just there as a placeholder. A lot of the dates that are listed as a first are kind of placeholder dates because they're not finalized yet. Now, here's where things are the most completed are for 2023. So what I've got for 2023 is a fairly substantial list of books here that are coming out in 2023. A lot of them have now dates. And so I can see them all there, and they're just sorted chronologically right now. With this being a spreadsheet, you could sort it all kinds of ways. You could just sort it by author. You could sort it, to show only the sequels. You do all kinds of things with this program. But I like to just have it chronologically. That way it's easy for me to see which ones, at any given time of year have already been released versus which ones are still forthcoming. Now, something I'm working on here that is a new thing that I've just been trying out, I'll show, and then I'll come back to this view. I've just created a second view, which is called Gallery. And there's lots of different views you can use in this program. And if I go to Gallery, just to show what I'm doing here, Gallery, I've got it set up so that if the book has one, I can browse by the cover art. Some of the forthcoming books don't have cover art yet. And these ones up here are books from 2022. I didn't start doing the cover art thing until recently, so only the 2023 ones are done. If I wanted to just look by cover art here, I can do that, which is a cool visual. My brain doesn't really organize information in this way, but if you wanted to just browse as if it was a bookshelf, I guess, this is a way that you can do that. I'm sure there's a way to make it look a lot nicer. Again, I'm a total beginner at this. I'm not by any means the most, tech savvy person, but you can see here that these are just filled in as a file column here. Notion allows you to do this. These are actually direct links to an image of the book cover. I haven't had to actually upload anything. It does have a storage limit, but if you're just linking, then you can do that indefinitely. And so you can see I've got here different genres. Most of this is sci-fi and fantasy. I've only really done it so far for fiction. There's maybe one nonfiction in the list, but for the most part, this is just fiction. Now I've got an empty column here and I don't know why that's there. Or sorry, an empty row. That one seems to have been created by accident, sorry. So I've got all these books here that are coming out in 2023 that are books that I've indicated that I'm interested in. Now, something that I've done here is copy in descriptions of the book. So these are descriptions that I found on Storygraph or Goodreads, or in some cases, publisher websites. So what I can do is if I wanted to see the Saint of Bright Doors, for example, this is one that I've been looking forward to for a while. This is, I believe this is a debut book, actually. If I click the open in the sneak peek button here, you can see what I've done is put the description of the book here. And this is just copied. And I haven't formatted it nicely or anything. It's just copied there so I can see it. If I forget what the title is, I can find it. And this sounds like a really cool fantasy book with a world that's full of doors that people interact with in different ways. And people don't know what's behind the doors, but they kind of take on different significances to different people. And this follows a character who is one of these rare chosen few, who interact with the doors in a different way. And so I thought that story sounded interesting. And so I've got the content here. And I can just click back out by closing that there. And I do have a second page that I'm not going to show now because it's even more kind of messy and unrealized than this one. I do have another page for when I get advanced reader copies of books. I can keep track of the review I've written as well as where I've posted that review that links to this one. So that's kind of an extra layer that I can do for organizing my NetGalley reviewing if I would like to do that. And I can see how many of the books turned out to be kind of 5-star, 4-star, etc. But really this is just a product of my excitement about books that don't yet exist or that aren't yet available to me. Getting excited. I do frequently get the kind of too many books, too little time overwhelm feeling. And this I think probably doesn't help, but I really like organizing this and there's lots that I won't get to, and there's lots that I won't get to certainly this year, but they don't go away, right? So down here I've got 2022. I didn't do the covers, you can see here, they're not filled in, but down here for 2022, these are some new releases from this calendar year that I haven't yet gotten to. This one, Africa Risen, A New Era of Speculative Fiction. This is Ogunchoe Donald Pecky. This is a collection of short stories. He's the editor. I'm reading this right now. It's very long. I'm kind of reading it alongside other things. I'm about a quarter of the way done. I've checked off here that I got an advanced copy because I did. So I'm reading that and we'll review it in the process. This is a standalone, I believe, Mary Robinette Kowal kind of detective noir fiction that I thought looked interesting. R.F. Kuang, Babel, I kind of can't believe I haven't gotten to. I've asked for a hard copy of this from my mom for the holiday gift. This looks kind of right up my alley in a number of ways. Sarah El Arifi's book, The Final Strife. This one, I never got to this one, and now there's a sequel coming out in 2023, and it's on my 2023 list, even though I haven't actually yet read this one, which is the first book of a visionary African and Arabian inspired fantasy trilogy that is a woman-centric story. I've seen really good reviews of this book, The Final Strife, so this is high on the to read list because I want to read the first one obviously before the second one, and now the second one has a publication date in 2023. The Memory Librarian and Other Stories of Dirty Computer. This is a short story collection based around Janelle Monáe's album, Dirty Computer, which I like a lot, and I'm interested to read this collection. So this is just some books of the 2022 that I haven't gotten to yet. And there were a whole bunch more here, at least 10 or 15 more that have been checked off as read. So those ones don't show here anymore, but you can, if you want to, show them. So books I'm excited for 2023. I'm not going to go through all of them, obviously, because that would be ridiculous. But some highlights of 2023. I will say quite a few of them are sequels of all of my favorite 2022 releases that I've read so far. I'm probably not going to read any more new releases in the next couple of weeks, but a good 50% of the new releases that I loved the most for 2022 are sequels. There were some really good ones. I already mentioned The Saint of Bright Doors is one that I'm looking forward to. That is, I want to say a standalone. I want to say a debut. A World of Doors just sounds really interesting to me. So I'm very excited about that one. Now, Deep as the Sky, Red as the Sea is one of the lone historical fiction that I have on here. Adventure novel about a legendary Chinese pirate queen. There's a couple of pirate books for 2023, and I don't know if this is a outcome of me falling in love with Our Flag Means Death and being on like a pirate tangent, or why there seems to be an overrepresentation of pirate books in my 2023 list, but there it is. So this one I thought looked good. A Book of Salt and Grit, Blood and Sweat. An unmissable portrait of a woman who leads with the courage and ruthlessness of our darkest and most beloved heroes. Historical fiction is not my usual, thing, but I thought that sounded good. Pirates are interesting. Why not? Daughters of Istahar is also, I think, a debut. This one I thought looked really good. Yeah, debut author. First book in a duology inspired by modern Egypt, which I thought would be interesting. I've been reading quite a few fantasies that are more inspired by kind of ancient historical contexts. And so to have a more modern inspiration for a fantasy novel, I think is really cool. It's another one that has female protagonists, which I also like. And so I'm looking forward to that. The Heavenly Sword by Alice Poon. I think this one sounded a bit wuxia to me, which I'd been reading. Jin Yong. Yeah. Fantastical martial arts and sorcery. I was reading Jin Yong this year, and some of these kind of martial master conflicts and things like that. I really like this, so I think that one will be interesting. And it says that it weaves Chinese mythical folklore, speculative history, family love, fellowship, loyalty, loss, sacrifice, and kung fu rivalry. I thought that one sounded really good too. Some of these are just authors that I really love. Annalee Newitz I've read before. Sarah Ahmed is one of my favorite current feminist author. So this is the one kind of nonfiction on the list because it's very much on my radar that she's writing this feminist killjoy handbook that's going to be coming out right around my birthday. So that will be a birthday treat. So very much looking forward to this. Sarah Ahmed's Living a Feminist Life is one of my favorite nonfiction books of all time. It is an inspiration, very much so. To expose a problem is to pose a problem. If you have to shout to be heard, you're heard as shouting. We have to keep saying it because they keep doing it. That's the taglines of that book. And I adore Sarah Ahmed's work, and I'm so inspired by it. S.A. Chakraborty, people have heard me talk about on my channel before, writing the City of Brass, and that trilogy that I've just recently read and really enjoyed has a new series starting. I think it's going to be a trilogy. Yeah, a new trilogy of magic and mayhem on the high seas. In this tale of pirates, sorcerers, forbidden artifacts, and ancient mysteries in one woman's determined quest. So again, pirates. Again, pirates, the adventures of Amina al-Sirafi. I thought that this sounded really good. One of the Indian Ocean's most notorious pirates. And this one, as far as I know, is completely and entirely fictional, not historical, about an actual pirate. But I loved her work. And here she's listed as being under Shannon Chakraborty, which is her first name. So of course I will pick that one up because I loved her trilogy so much. Max Gladstone I've read before. Lies of a Jungo, Moses Ozuyutomi. This is a novella. This one has been having a bit of hype on Instagram from the publisher lately. And I'm definitely all in for this. I think that this looks great. Debut, again, novella. I like finding debut, it's as a way of finding new authors, because once I've found one, through a new release and loved it, then every other one of their books I'll probably want to check out for sure. The Remarkable Retirement of Edna Fisher. I mean, a fantastical chosen one story with a retiree protagonist. Like I'm in. Like I don't really need to know anything else about that book at all. The Surviving Sky by Kritika Rao. This looks great. This is a Hinduism inspired book with a kind of a floating city, or a series of floating cities. The cover for this, which I'm not going to now be able to show in a good way, is beautiful. I'm not sure if I can show this in a nice way. Can I see that? Yeah, so you can see a little bit. This beautiful floating city cover caught my eye, and so I thought that looked great. Scourge Between Stars by Ness Brown. This one is a horror, or at least partially horror, sci-fi horror set on a spaceship, a generation ship, I believe. Yeah, a doomed generation ship. Tense, claustrophobic sci-fi horror. This felt a little bit like a more horror, a little bit Battlestar Galactica vibes going on. This looked really good, I thought. Some Desperate Glory, Emily Tesh. This is a debut science fiction novel, but I've read Emily Tesh novellas before and enjoyed them, so that is a kind of no-brainer to include on there. Cassandra Khaw I've read before. We'll definitely have horror elements to this one as well. Looking forward to that. Horror on the list, apparently. Wabgisha Grice. This Moon of the Turning Leaves. There's not much information on this one yet, except that this is a sequel to Moon of the Crusted Snow, which is a horror novel, short novel, set in a far north Indigenous community in Ontario, where the power goes out in the middle of winter, at the very beginning of winter. It is, if you're looking for a horror novel to read in the depths of winter, if it is the depths of winter where you are and there's snow on the ground like there is where I am, Moon of the Crusted Snow is very, very good. And so this Moon of the Turning Leaves is a sequel that's set 10 years after the first book. I'm gonna get that second comes out, though it comes out in May, and it's definitely, I mean, I'm wondering if it's very winter book again, I might save that one for winter. C.L. Clarke's Faithless. This is another sequel, and I liked the first book well enough. I'll buy it again. S.L. Wong, The Water Outlaws. I feel like this book I've been waiting for. This one has been announced for quite some time. queer epic fantasy of bandits, heroes, and revolution, inspired by a Chinese classic, Water Margin. This was announced quite some time ago, and I've been waiting for this. I almost thought this was coming out in 2022, but it didn't. I will read that in 2023 without a question. This one is Sarah El Arifi. This is the one that's the sequel to the book I haven't read yet that came out last year. Martha Wells, Witch King. I love Murderbot, and I love Martha Wells' earlier fantasy series, which I've read one book in so far, that I just read, I think, last month. So this is going to be a new fantasy series, The Witch King. Why not have 3 series all by Martha Wells ongoing at the same time? I see no reason not to do that. Translation State by Ann Leckie. I love Ann Leckie. The trilogy that she wrote, I think, is really great. Very interesting in terms of what it does with gender and technology. This one, I think, is going to be a standalone with mystery and sci-fi aspects. So, you know, Ann Leckie has become another author who, if she puts out something, then I will check it out and probably read it. There are quite a few here of authors that I've never read before. Rebecca Roanhorse's Mirrored Heavens. This is going to be a sequel in the trilogy that she has ongoing right now. Black Sun was the first one, and it was really great. And the second book was really great. And this is actually the 3rd book. Is there a word for a 3rd book other than just calling it a 3rd book? Or is the 3rd book still called a sequel? Let me know in the comments. I don't know if there's a word for that. I need to know what it is. He Who Drowned the World is a sequel to Shelley Parker Chan's She Who Became the Sun, which is pitched as a fantasy. I maintain that it's historical fiction. It is very researched, and the characters are based on actual humans. I don't think it's fantasy, frankly. The fantastical elements are limited to things like Divine Right of Kings and things like this that are not I don't know, hungry ghosts, you know, like there's kind of cultural spiritual ideas that are depicted in perhaps a fantastical way, but this is really historical fiction as far as I'm concerned. I adored this book. I adored the first book. The second book is going to be fabulous, and I'm going to read that in 2023. I have no doubt. Starling House, a kind of gothic fantasy from Alex Harrow. Alex Harrow is hit and miss for me, very hit and miss for me, but we shall see. And Warrior of the Wind by Suya Davis Okunbowa. This is a sequel to a book that I've already read. At least it's a sequel to a book I've already read, right? Continuing from Son of the Storm. And there's not much description other than the fact that it's going to be following the same characters. And it does have this date for 2023. So that's my 2023 list in brief. And now you've seen the level of nerdy organization that goes into me reading new releases. So do you organize your book list in any particular way? Let me know in the comments. If you use Notion for something like this, let me know in the comments. I don't organize like my TBR list in general. This is manageable for me. My want to read shelf on Storygraph has like 550 books on it. There is no organization there. The read books on there are organized in terms of genre and things like that, but I just throw things on my to read list as I see them and don't really organize it much beyond that. But this, I really like keeping track of the new releases and getting excited for, you know, folks' first books coming out or sequels coming out. So this is how I've been doing that. And I thought that, I don't know, somebody out there in the internet universe might be for some reason interested in seeing this. So there it is. Let me know if there's any books for 2023 that you are particularly interested in and excited for that are coming out. I would love to hear about them. Thank you so much for watching, and I wish you all a great day, and I'll see you again soon. Bye.